actually hate the sound of my voice, or listening to my voice back at recordings. It's very difficult for me to take this seriously.
I'm also scared that this is going to come across as self-indulgent because
I'm the artistic director of the dance company that's performing live in front of you right now. And I'm talking about my own experiences.
And I think just talking about dance and art in general is kind of, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
It's kind of weird. Dance has always been a part of me, so everyone, it's just I guess some people, if you're lucky, you have that thing that you've been doing since you're 5 years old and doing it constantly, and you can't help but do it. Even after all these years,
In
it's
2000,
still
I was studying dance as a major at the Boston Conservatory, and they have their annual show called Springworks, and students at the school can submit proposals. And I submitted one, and the upperclassmen told me, I was crazy to do that because they rarely accept freshman works. Mine was accepted, and the school was so small. I felt like there was a big spotlight on me. All right, well, let's see what.
When I auditioned dancers for my dance, I think people just came just to see what it was going to be like. And
It was a
I
tricky
couldn't do
audition,
anything
especially because
dance or choreography.
the only thing I made people do was act like bugs or insects for about 10 minutes straight. And it was an audition, but it was also a study and research for the piece that I wanted to create. Because, believe it or not, dancers are insecure people just like everybody else, but
At the same time, I can't tell you how
they're very
uncomfortable
confident
it made
with their bodies and they know
some
what
of the
they're doing with
dancers
their body.
to do
Because
something
they're
that
introverted.
weird or bizarre, I guess. Or I guess just really silly, acting like an insect. The piece was
The
called
piece was called
The Torchlight Project,
and
it was a study, or I guess a presentation of the study
that was calculated, but also very
Essentially what
organic,
happened
and every
is
night that it was performed, it was completely
dancers
different.
wore homemade, crafty, terrible.
I guess you could say bug outfits. They were dressed up as bugs. Some wore ski goggles. Some had capes. What happened? And it was very homemade. Nothing was. The stage is dark. Very constructed. A huge light bulb was lowered from the ceiling, and then it turned on, and then some weird music
I
started
don't even
playing.
know who wrote the music or what the music was. The dancers just circled this light bulb in different
One
movement
dancer
patterns.
attempted
So
to
the
touch
stage
the
was
light
very
bulb or tried to
calculated,
give the
but
impression that they touched the light bulb, and
the way they acted as
immediately
insects
dived to the
was
ground
different.
because actually she was the first time where I did something and it caused a huge commotion.
People who didn't understand
think
me or
that-
my point of view thought that it was stupid that this dance was accepted and allowed to be performed because there really wasn't any choreography exactly and what I was trying to do at that age, and I can't be honest with you and say that I knew it at the time, but
The act of
I
rebellion
always
and the fact that I didn't follow any sort of technique or rules that I've learned previously or experienced in dance beforehand. And I think you have certain expectations of who you are and what you expect, and even dancers couldn't expect. I remember the piece as not really something that I was excited about and I was curious about, and I didn't know how it would go. And I think that's the best way to create, because why would you want to create something that you already know what the outcome is going to be? But I think that's the power of art, that under the surface, there is a lot of thinking behind things that may seem insignificant. And I think it was important for me to make a dance that was not about dance, to make you think about dance.
Often people come to me and say, I know nothing whatsoever about dancing, but, and I'll say, stop right there. You got up and you're walking. You're an expert.
1, 2, 3,
All movement is in fact dance, and anyone who wishes to train an eye or become more sensitive to their own bodies and movement, just look about them and they will see dancing. I would never have become a choreographer if I hadn't wanted to move. And nobody else could tolerate me, so if I wanted to dance, I was going to have to make up my own dances. And I wanted to dance. My body wanted to move. It liked doing that more than anything else. It liked thrusting itself through space. That's what it liked to do. And even though there was culturally no reason for me to do it, for some reason I found that a priority in my life. I've spent quite a while making dances, and it was one thing when I was just beginning to work and hadn't any idea about what the tools were or what the parameters were, and then it's another as I get more tools and more parameters and more clearly defined boundaries, and I say, do I want to use these boundaries or don't I? Part of always making a piece for me had to do with examining the mechanics of what a dance is at this time and pushing those boundaries just a little and saying, well, okay, but can we also extend it this way, and this can also be called dancing. I've always thought it necessary to develop real range in terms of the kinds of forces that I could address, from jazz to primitive music to very, very sophisticated Western music. I love them all. In the beginning, it was extremely difficult to get ballet dancers to try to move in other new ways. You have to make them think that they should be doing more, not less. Modern is not less, modern is more. It's everything that has been done plus.
Lately it seems I've lost inspiration. It feels like it's miles away. I sleep through the day, then cry through the nighttime. I'm caught in an empty space. Takes effort to fight. I don't have the strength. I'm holding on to what's still left of me. When the life you had planned slowly slips through your hands, when it feels like you just slept through all the best years of your life, when you can't find your way, when each day ends the same, when you've lost the fight inside of you, is there anything worth holding on to? It's hard to be strong when weakness is stronger. I'm a prisoner in my own skin. I'm not good on my own. I need to be cared for. Someone to help these days begin. There are dreams I've let die that I've just pushed aside. I need to find out how to turn this dark back into light. When a warmth disappears, when it's been one of those years, when you're running from the truth because you're scared of what you might find, when your heart's beyond repair, when you wake and no one's there, when your home consists of only you. Is there anything worth holding on to? Maybe tomorrow my heart will reawaken and I can find what I've been searching for. But today I'm tired and I'm running out of strength. All I know is I can't live like this anymore. When you're so far from home, when you've lost all signs of hope, when you're searching for salvation, but it feels so far away, when the words have disappeared and the melody's unclear, when there's nothing left inside of you, is there anything worth holding on to? 'Cause I will still be holding on to everything worth holding on to.
Everybody is half dead. Everybody avoids everybody. All over the place, in most situations, most all of the time. I know I'm one of those everybody's. And to me, it is terrible. And so all I'm trying to do all the time is just to open people up so they can feel themselves and let themselves be open to somebody else. That is all. That's it. I've always thought that I was shaking people up, but now I want to go at it more, and I want to go at it more deliberately, and I want to go at it coldly. I want to shake people up so bad that when they leave a nightclub where I performed, I just want them to be to pieces. I want to go in that den of those elegant people with their old ideas, smugness, and just drive them insane. When I'm calm and cool and really got the antenna working, you know when to push and you know when to not. Nobody can tell you though, you have to feel it. In any situation between human beings. It's what makes a groove.
Well, what's free to you mean?
What's free to me?
Yeah.
Same thing it is to you. You tell me.
No, you tell me. No. Because I've been talking for such a long...
It's just a feeling. It's just a feeling. It's like, how do you tell somebody how it feels to be in love? How are you going to tell anybody who has not been in love how it feels to be in love? You cannot do it to save your life. You can describe things, but you can't tell them. But you know it when it happens. That's what I mean by free. I've had a couple of times on stage when I really felt free. And that's something else. That's really something else. Like tell you what freedom is to me. No fear. I mean, really, no fear. If I could have that half of my life, no fear. Lots of children have no fear. That's the closest way, that's the only way I can describe it. That's not all of it, but it is something to really, really feel.
Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere on the 18th of April in 75. Hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year. He said to his friend, if the British march by land or sea from the town tonight, hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the North Church Tower as a signal light. 1 if by land, and 2 if by sea, and I on the opposite shore will be, ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm, for the country folk to be up and to arm. Then he said, good night. With muffled oar, silently rowed to the Charlestown shore, just as the moon rose over the bay, where swinging wide at her moorings lay the Somerset British man-of-war. A phantom ship with each mast and spar across the moon like a prison bar, and a huge black hump that was magnified by its own reflection in the tide. You know the rest. In the books you have read how the British regulars fired and fled, how the farmers gave them ball for ball from behind each fence and farmyard wall, chasing the redcoats down the lane, then crossing the fields to emerge again under the trees at the turn of the road, and only pausing to fire and load. Pierced by a British musket ball. Of hoofs in a village street, a shape in the moonlight, a bulk in the dark, and beneath from the pebbles in passing, a spark struck out by a steed flying fearless and fleet. That was all, and yet through the gloom and the light, the fate of a nation was riding that night, and the spark struck out by that steed in his flight kindled the land into flame with its heat. Left the village and mounted the steep, and beneath him, tranquil and broad and deep, is the mystic, meeting the ocean tides, and under the alders that skirt its edge, now soft on the sand, now loud on the ledge, is heard the tramp of his steed as he rides. hour of darkness and peril and need, the people will waken and listen to hear the hurrying hoofbeats of that steed.
I couldn't get away.
And the midnight message of Paul Revere.
The question of language was absolutely central to Dada because language was perceived as the mother lode of culture. Language guides our behavior. Language determines what we can think and not think and what we can do and not do. It actually affects our perception of the world. And the ramifications are huge in terms of how you perform the rest of your life in terms of that culture. So to cancel that out cancels out nationalism, it cancels out behavior driven by specific national languages and so on, and establishes what you might call a kind of a common ground from which then you could redefine or re-articulate a language or re-articulate shared language or whatever.
Language in the mind of Hugo Ball had been so misused and so corrupted by politicians and the press that words had ceased to have meaning. His solution was to move away from the meaning of words to the meaning of sounds. And thus, in an effort to free words from syntax, Ball developed the idea of the Lautgedicht, or sound poem. The high point of Cabaret Voltaire was Hugo Ball's performance on June 23rd of his sound poem, Elephant Caravan. Dressed in a cubist version of a shaman's or witch doctor's costume, Ball was unable to walk, and so he was escorted with great ceremony onto the stage. It began as a simple performance, a reading, but halfway through the delivery of his so-called nonsense verse, Ball fell under its spell and found himself transported to a wholly unexpected place, in need of a way to return home.
The heavy vowel sequences and the plodding rhythm of the elephants in Elephant Caravan had given me one last crescendo. But how was I to get to the end? Then I noticed that my voice had no choice but to take on the ancient cadence of priestly lamentation.
Just 6 months after opening, the Cabaret Voltaire closed due to a combination of the nightly excesses of the cabaret crowds and the fact that the Dadas were rather lax in their collection of cover charges and failed to make rent.
Beneath the purple tree rots poisonous mangoes.
Zucchini, cucumber, asparagus, peas, bacon, chicken, pork, pancakes, waffles, donuts, bagels, lettuce, tomato, onion, apple, pear, orange, lemon, lime, broccoli, cauliflower, peppers, beans, pineapples, mangoes, coconut, cookies, brownies, cupcakes, pies, strawberry, marshmallow.
subtlety in death. It's like a hurricane. It's like Farrakhan. There is no subtlety in death. It's like a hurricane. It's like Farrakhan. There is no subtlety in death. It's like a hurricane. It's like Farrakhan.
Propaganda. Many use the word when talking about countries like North Korea, Kazakhstan, Iran. Countries viewed as authoritarian through the lens of the Western media. Press freedom, freedom of thought. People use those terms when talking about countries like the United States, France, Australia, democracies. In 1988, Noam Chomsky co-authored a book with Edward Herman called Manufacturing Consent. It blasted apart the notion that media acts as a check on political power, that media inform the public, serve the public, so that we can better engage in the political process. In fact, media manufacture our consent. They tell us what those in power need them to tell us so we can fall in line. Democracy is staged with the help of media that work as propaganda machines. Media operate through 5 filters. The first has to do with ownership. Mass media firms are big corporations. Often they're part of even bigger conglomerates. Their end game, profit. And so it's in their interest to push for whatever guarantees that profit. Critical journalism takes second place to the needs and interests of the corporation. The second filter exposes the real role of advertising. Media costs a lot more than consumers will ever pay. So who fills the gap? Advertisers. And what are the advertisers paying for? Audiences. And so it isn't so much that the media are selling you a product, their output. They're also selling advertisers a product, you. How does the establishment manage the media? That's the third filter. Journalism cannot be a check on power because the very system encourages complicity. Governments, corporations, big institutions know how to play the media game. They know how to influence the news narrative. They feed media scoops, official accounts, interviews with the experts. They make themselves crucial to the process of journalism. So those in power and those who report on them are in bed with each other. If you want to challenge power, you'll be pushed to the margins. Your name won't be down. You won't be getting in. You've lost your access. You've lost the story. When the media, journalists, whistleblowers, sources, stray away from the consensus, they get flat. That's the fourth filter. When the story is inconvenient for the powers that be, you'll see the flak machine in action, discrediting sources, trashing stories, and diverting the conversation. To manufacture consent, you need an enemy, a target. That common enemy is the fifth filter. Communism, terrorists, immigrants, a common enemy. A boogeyman to fear helps corral public opinion. 5 filters, one big media theory. Consent is being manufactured all around you, all the time.
Huh?
Propaganda is the spreading of information in support of a cause.
Put simply, propaganda is the dissemination of ideas intended to convince people to think and act.
Well, the definitions have changed. It's not so important whether the information is true or false, or if the cause is just or not. It's all propaganda.
Two people cried. Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the scripture takes on
Tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel. The power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish.
This is your life, good to the last drop. Doesn't get any better than this. This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time. This isn't a seminar, this isn't a weekend retreat. Where you are now, you can't even imagine what the bottom will be like. Only after disaster can we be resurrected. It's only after you've lost everything that you're free to do anything. Nothing is static. Everything is evolving. Everything is falling apart. This is your life. This is your life. This is your life. This is your life. Doesn't get any better than this. This is your life. This is your life. This is your life. This is your life. And it's ending 1 minute at a time.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the moon.
We often think of propaganda in terms of its very vivid, infamous iconography, such as Nazi propaganda and Stalinist propaganda, but really the most powerful propaganda of the 20th century and the 21st century is insidious, something that we often don't recognize, something that's disguised, and it comes from 2 words, public relations.
Dear Mr. President, come take a walk with me.
You are not machine. machines. You are not cattle. You are men.
Let's pretend we're just two people and were you not better than me? I'd like to ask you some questions if we can speak honestly. How can you say no? What do you feel when you see all the homeless on the street? Who do you pray for at night before you go to sleep? What do you feel when you look in the mirror? Are you proud?
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down
Let me
this
tell you
wall.
about hard work. Minimum wage with a baby on the way. Let me tell you about hard work. Rebuilding your house after the bomb took them away. You don't know nothing about hard work. Hard work. Hard work.
Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
Dear Mr. President, you'd never take a walk with me.
Guys, that's a photo of Jonathan Martin right there, and I don't mean to scare you, but this now raises the count to up to 6 U.S. states where clown sightings have been reported, and then
Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason.
So, in my state of the union, my speech to the nation.
You are not a beautiful and unique snowflake. You are the same decaying organic matter as everything else. We are all part of the same compost heap. We are the all singing, all dancing crap of the world. You are not your bank account. You are not the clothes you wear. You are not the contents of your wallet. You are not your bowel cancer. You are not your God. I say, deliver me from clear skin and perfect teeth. I say, you have to give up. I say, evolve and let the chips fall where they may. This is your life, this is your life, this is your life, this is your life. Doesn't get any better than this. This is your life, this is your life, this is your life, this is your life. And it's ending 1 minute at a time.
I began playing when I was 6, and I was actually practicing and playing seriously by the time I was 8. By the time I was 15, I began to get very curious about music. My question was, which no one could give me a proper answer for, was where does music come from? So I got the idea that if I wrote music, I would find out where it came from. That turned out not to be true. I never did find out. At a certain point, I discovered I had developed a voice, a certain language. That's a concern for a lot of young composers. We're all concerned about when are we going to find that voice. It seems to be such an important thing. In fact, I've spoken to many young people about this. For sure, you get the voice by the time you're 30 about. Some people get it much earlier. Schubert, Mendelssohn, I mean, there are people like that. But most of us, it takes a little while. That's actually not the real issue. The real issue is not when do you get your voice, but the real question is how to get rid of it. It's only when you start to get to that point that the real discovery and journey for the composer really begins.
Einstein on the Beach is an opera like no other. There is no story, no hero or heroine, no obvious links between words, images, and music. A scene lasting 30 minutes may consist of a single image that changes at an almost glacial pace. The music may sustain a single note for minutes or explode in contagiously rhythmic combinations of voice, violin, and amplified instruments. It is an opera where dancers are the featured performers. The American premiere of Einstein on the Beach in 1976 changed forever the image of opera.
I was in this prematurely air-conditioned supermarket, and there were all these aisles, and there were these bathing caps that you could buy that had these kind of 4th of July plumes on them that were red and yellow and blue. And I wasn't tempted to buy one, but I was reminded of the fact that I had been avoiding the beach. I was in this prematurely air-conditioned supermarket, and there were all these aisles, and there were these bathing caps that you could buy that had these kind of 4th of July plumes on them that were red and yellow and blue. And I wasn't tempted to buy one, but I was reminded of the fact that I had been avoiding the beach.
The day with its cares and perplexities is ending, and the night is now. And what sort of story shall we hear? Ah, it will be a familiar story. A story that is so very, very old, and yet it is so new. It is the old story of love. Two lovers sat on a park bench with their bodies touching each other, holding hands in the moonlight. There was silence between them. So profound was their love for each other, they needed no words to express it. And so they sat in silence on a park bench with their bodies touching, holding hands in the moonlight. Finally, she spoke. "Do you love me, John?" she asked. "You know I love you, darling," he replied. "I love you more than tongue can tell. You are the light of my life, my sun, moon, and star. I love you. You are my love for you is higher than the heavens, deeper than Hades, and broader than the earth. It has no limits, no bounds. Everything must have an ending except my love for you." Once more, there was more her silence as "Kiss me, John," she implored, and leaning over, he pressed his lips warmly to hers in fervent osculation.
culture of the city is that everybody wants to remain young looking, they want to remain fit. So there's a greater awareness of the projection of one's own body. For example, in advertising, you see the human body, usually it's a female human body, which is used like a commodity to sell something. And I think dance is a way of perhaps, reclaiming the body. You're also giving the message that the body isn't there just for selling, but the body is there also to communicate serious ideas. Well, I think one of the things that's really influenced my choreography anyway, and I think everyone's way of looking at the body, is that because we see it always on screen, through your computer, in films, in videos, and the moving body is always edited, and it's through a zoom you see in very close up. So I think the eye of the spectator has been so conditioned by the way the body is viewed through the camera. I think that actually in some ways is something that it's a culture that you take with you, whether you want to or not, when you choreograph bodies. You are very aware of what is the foreground, what is the background, where you want to direct the audience eye, and where you want the audience to be distant if suddenly there is a close-up. I've always been interested in how people improvise and make their life in some ways a way of coping with different cultural information. As a choreographer, that's what I find interesting, the fact that the body can be the site for many narratives. And in our everyday life, we are everybody's a choreographer because they manage to design their life around different information.
Know that I care.
Welcome to the Cabaret Voltaire at Spiegelgasse 1 in Zurich, the birthplace of Dada. It was here that Dada came into being on the 5th of February 1916.
What was and is Dada? No one has ever been able to answer that question conclusively. Dada got its name in Zurich, emerging in the early 1920s as a zeitgeist that spread throughout the world. Major and minor branches were created in places as far afield as Barcelona, Berlin, Cologne, New York, Paris, Latin America, Japan, and the Tyrol.
Not even the Dadaists know what Dada is. Only the Ober-Dada does. And he tells no one.
Dada is a statement, not a style. Dada took in all the avant-garde movements that existed at the time, like Expressionism, Futurism, and Cubism, and discharged them again in either digested or undigested form. Dada was a radical negation of art, and to that extent the first really revolutionary movement in modernism. In order to understand Dada better, one has to consider the circumstances under which it was born. The world a century ago, the turmoil of the First World War. Hugo Ball, the Cabaret Voltaire's founder, describes those circumstances in the opening sentences of his diary, Flight Out of Time, which appeared in 1927. The decade leading up to the First World War witnessed a huge paradigm shift in society, philosophy, art, literature, psychoanalysis, science, and politics. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche declares and laments the death of God. The artist Wassily Kandinsky philosophizes about the spiritual in art. Sigmund Freud and Carl Gustav Jung create psychoanalysis. Albert Einstein develops the theory of relativity, and Lenin, not far away from the Cabaret Voltaire, works on the concept for the Russian Revolution.
Tristan Zara from Romania writes Dada manifestos.
I write a manifesto and I want nothing. Yet I say certain things, and in principle I'm against manifestos, as I'm also against principles. The principle, love thy neighbor, is an hypocrisy. Know thyself is utopian but more acceptable, since it embraces wickedness. No pity. Even after this carnage, we still retain the hope of a purified mankind. I speak only for myself, since I do not wish to convince. I have no right to drag others into my river. I'm against action. For continuous contradiction, for affirmation too, I am neither for nor against. And I do not explain because I hate common sense. Some people think they can explain rationally, by thought, what they think. But that is extremely relative. Psychoanalysis is a dangerous disease. It puts to sleep the anti-objective impulses of man and systematizes the bourgeoisie. The dialectic is an amusing mechanism which guides us in a banal kind of a way to the opinions we had in the first place. I write a manifesto and I want nothing. Yet I say certain things, and in principle I'm against manifestos, as I'm also against principles.
Hi, I'm Tim Gunn, and this is how it got better. I grew up in Washington, D.C. in the 1950s and 1960s. And Washington is and was a very conservative place. And I knew from a very early age that I was an odd kid out. I was the kid who came home frequently beaten up. Bloody, black eye, all scraped and bruised. I was a natural magnet for being picked on. I just was. There was the stutter, there was the bookwormish aspect of me, there was the fact that I wasn't a sports guy. I mean, you throw the dodgeball at me and I'm like this. I mean, I was a classic nerd. My father was, I'll be blunt, he was homophobic, and I would hear it in the house. There was a lot of pressure on me to be like he was, and that pressure wasn't external, it was internal, it was coming from me as well. I thought I need to be like Dad, but somehow I felt more like a maturing teen. I was tremendously antisocial. I felt very exposed, I felt desperately insecure, and I hated the world. I reached a point in my teens where I just was, to be blunt, tired. I was tired of feeling so out of place in the world. I was tired of all the anxiety and emotional pain. I was just tired. And I thought, what's going to make tomorrow any different than today? The answer in my head was absolutely nothing. And I thought, I do not want to go on like this. When I was hospitalized, homosexuality was considered a disease. And in fact, there were young people, a little older than I, who were in the hospital because they were homosexual. that was yet another reason why I thought this has to be suppressed. I mean, I can't possibly awaken to these feelings. And then I met this incredible doctor, Philip Goldblatt, God bless him, who wouldn't let me run from myself. And he was with me 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and I lashed out, I got violent. He was there. He was this immovable rock, and he was not going anywhere. And as soon as I was resigned to that, I began to engage with him, trust him, open up to him. I owe my life to him. I truly do. In my early 20s, I was visiting the Corcoran, and I became aware that there was a school in the museum, a museum school. And I took a summer class. I have never experienced anything that was so unshackling and liberating in my entire life. I found out that I not only really was very good at it, at these various things, but that I loved them, that I had a passion for them, that I had this drive. It made me feel prepared to be in this world and to be an active participant in it. Suddenly I was flying without looking over my shoulder, and discovering that the answer isn't in the back of the book. The answer's in you. I had extremely aware of my sexuality and of the fact that I, in fact, am gay. And I don't flee from it. I'm not afraid of it. I'm very matter-of-fact about it. I took a train to New Haven, Connecticut, had made an appointment with Dr. Goldblatt, and presented him with my very own gayness. And he gave me a huge hug. I needed my great mentor, this man who delivered me from so much evil. I wanted him to know how high I had ascended. Just what a full person I had really become. Because I believe without that aspect of ourselves, we're not full. But I was and am full.
When you were here before, couldn't look you in the eye. You're just like an angel. Your skin makes me cry. You float like a feather in a beautiful wish I was special. You're so very special. And I'm a creep. I'm a widow. What the hell am I doing here? Care if it hurts. I wanna have control. I want a perfect body. I want a perfect soul. I want you to notice when I'm not around. You're so very special. I wish I was special, but I'm a creep. I'm a widow. What the hell am I doing here? When I whatever makes you happy, whatever you want. You're so very special. I wish I was special, but I'm a creep. I'm a widow. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. I don't belong here.
Love is a condition so powerful. It may be that which holds the stars in the firmament. It may be that which pushes and urges the blood in the veins. Courage. You have to have courage to love somebody, because you risk everything.
Courage.
Everything.
Courage is the key to life itself. There are a lot of people who are born in situations where they say, well, I'll never get out of this. So they won't.
Everyone in the world has gone to bed one night or another with fear or pain or loss or disappointment. And yet each of us has awakened, arisen, somehow made our ablution, seen other human beings, and said, "Morning, how are you? Fine, thanks, and you?" It's amazing. Wherever that abides in the human being, there is the nobleness of the human spirit. Despite it all, black and white, Asian, Spanish, Native American, pretty, plain, thin, fat, vowed or celibate, we rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom just 'cause I walk as if I have oil wells pumping in my living room? Just like suns and like moons, with the certainty of times, just like hope springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my sassiness upset you? Don't take it so hard just 'cause I laugh. As if I have gold mines digging in my own backyard. You can shoot me with your words. You can cut me with your lies. You can kill me with your hatefulness. But just like life, I'll rise. Does my sexiness offend you? Oh. Does it come as a surprise that I dance? As if I have diamonds at the meeting of my thighs. Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. Up from a past rooted in pain I rise. A black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak miraculously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the hope and the dream of the slave. And so, naturally, there I go rising.
11, auto-suggestion. You'll never be alone. Creative imagination. Desire. You don't have a burning desire at all. 8, every morning you know exactly what you're going to do and why. But all the real joy is taken out of it. 5th, faith. Don't fight it. 1st, 5, 4th, 4. Go into some quiet spot, perhaps in bed at night. Close your eyes, hold it. I can touch it with my hands. Imagination. You'll never be alone. The importance of the woman. You'll never be alone. Know what you want. Like all states of mind, the mastery of procrastination. 9, no one knows everything. No place to go. Number 2. 1. The second principle is a state of mind, sudden flashes of thought or inspiration. 10, the 5th principle is whatever it is you do for a living. The 4th principle is the one and only woman. The 6th principle is the 6th principle. The 6th sense. The 13th and final principle is the 12th principle. 3rd, this is important. This is it. Thoughts are things. 3. Time means nothing to your subconscious. 2. Understand once and for all, you'll never be alone here on Earth. You'll never be alone.